Wagwan, everybody. Welcome back. Glad you made it. It's a social production. Thank you for joining me once again. It is Wednesday, September the 18th, 2024. Doing it right here from the GTA, Toronto, Canada. If you're tuning in anywhere within the greater Toronto area, or if you're over there in Vancouver, BC, or even in the middle of Saskatchewan, Halifax, or there in Nova Scotia, of course, the Quebecois, down south in the United States, further down south, Mexico, South America, over there in Europe, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Australia, Senegal, Vietnam, Poland, my Polish people, the Scandinavians, over there in the Caribbean island, Cuba. If you're getting internets, I don't know if you are or not, but maybe you are. So wherever you're tuning in for Antarctica, where you're on a yacht in the middle of the ocean, you're on a little raft in the middle of the river, up and down, you're flowing up against the stream, and you're still getting the videos on you because we have them everywhere. The videos are everywhere. You can check them out on Instagram. Follow me there. Subscribe on the YouTube channel for the full-length videos. And check out patreon.com/RobSadri if you'd like to fiscally, financially support the show to watch it grow right before your beautiful, pretty eyes. That's what we're doing. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are. If you've been with me from the get-go, from the beginning, you know what it is. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Mi Familia, to our familia. I don't know. Me is obviously Spanish is mi familia. What our familia? I don't know what we in Spanish. I gotta look that one up, but it doesn't matter. Familia, grand familia, growing the syndicate. That's what we're doing. Let's get a sip of this. Keep it all over the place as per usual. Let's get right into it. Things to discuss. Many interesting things are happening in and around the world. Of course, I'll start with my little weekend. I'll do a little recap, a little bit of rendezvous, hitting the points on the weekend, see where we were and where you were. I did catch the UFC 306 in the sphere. In the spherical, the UFC's was tight. It was a spectacle. It was eye candy, you could say. It was a show. It was delightful. And the sphere is, I don't think we've ever had anything like it. Oh man. I know they've spent a ton of money, so shout out to the UFCs for spending a ton of money, but also shout out to the fighters. It was human innovation. It baffles me. The things that we do to you, it's great. It's fantastic. The dome, the sphere itself, I don't know if it's, it is if you're like, I'm tired of, it's a thing I believe it's in Vegas if I'm not mistaken. You should definitely catch it in person if you get a chance. But then you should get it, if you get a chance, check out, there's so many other things to check out. So I'm not going to just tell you, check out that. If you've got family members in the hospital, maybe check them out. But if you don't have, or maybe maybe they're in the hospital, maybe they want you to go catch something in the sphere. Or maybe you got a dog that's just coming and humping your leg, seeking a little bit of attention. Maybe check out your dog, but also maybe you don't have a dog that's humping your leg and you get a chance, check out the sphere. Maybe take the dog that's humping your leg to the sphere. Maybe say it's one of those one of those assistant dogs, one of those dogs with a job that's got files its own taxes. Maybe do that. But maybe I don't know. I'm just saying it's a spectacle. It was a lot of work went into it. I'll say that. The production was amazing. If you're tired of just cubic shaped buildings and you want no edges to your building, spheres all about no edges in the spheres. That's one thing. If you're I'm tired of just getting into boxes, so 2023, 2024, and we're heading into 2025. You could say the sphere, the shape, and the sphere could resemble a lot of things. It could subconsciously, it could trigger you to have a good time on a primal level, because things in nature are mostly right. There are no right angles in nature. A lot of things are, the tits are round, so you might be walking down the street, you see a perfectly shaped sphere. It might remind you that, yes, it's good to check out the show, but also it's good to go back to your lover in the evening and suck on some titties, because that's round as well. Or have some fruit, incorporate it. You might be walking down the street and you're man, I'm on that specifically only meats diet. And it's good to have the meats in there, but every once in a while, it wouldn't hurt you to toss an apple in your face hole, so or get an orange and put it in your face hole, so that the sphere reminds you of spherical fruits and vegetables. It could also remind you of the time that you bled out through your urethra because you passed a giant but perfectly shaped spherical kidney stone through your bladder, which was you can just reminisce. You can be like, oh man, I gotta go dust off my old perfectly shaped kidney stone that's placed on a mantle right above the fireplace in my home. Gotta just remind myself the good times, but also the challenging times. So sphere might do that for so many things are connected like that. It's really magical. Yeah, fights were fantastic. Always, it's so hard to just. I have many favorite fighters, and all of them are my favorite fighters. Because they've all got beautiful personalities, stories. I can't just. Yes, of course, there's the ones that are like, but and I try to keep it partial because I don't want to. Yes, I want to just keep it objective. So they all fought great. And you're all champs in my heart, in my eyes, in my three eyes. One of my favorite part of the UFC, of course, is the face-offs. I do like the face-offs, specifically the ladies' face-offs. Every time they do get close to each other, they're breathing in each other's face. Like, I'm just like, oh, I'm saying it to myself in my head. I'm saying kiss, 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 kiss. But also, sometimes I'm watching the videos on my phone, so I'm yelling at my phone, kiss, kiss, kiss. But they never do. They never do, or they might. Put it into the ether, into the universe, and they might kiss, 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 kiss. And of course, they're great fighters, but because the dudes get in each other's face, it's about to get. It is a little bit like And I thought about this. Fighting is as aggressive and as primal as testosterone riddled as it is, and it's a lot of, even the females are like fucking like they're about it. It's a little bit of but it does fighting is whatever you want to call it, whether you don't even need to attribute like a sex to it, because you could say it's like, well, it's a manly, it is typically a manly to go punch, but it is, of course, females are getting involved too. They're fucking great athletes that are females doing it, but it's just one of those like things that is, coincides with like, man, if you know how to like do the boxing and the jiu-jitsu and the grappling and the what, it's manly, it's also like, it's rough and tough, but low-key, it also is low-key, it is a little bit homoerotic. Not gonna lie, it's a little bit gay. Fighting is a little bit gay. But thank God they're doing it professionally. Like outside, if you're not doing it professionally, outside, if you're old and getting into random fight, if you're above the age, like 19, 20, if you're above that, getting into fights, and you're gay. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying, but fighting, and because you're in vulnerable clothing items, you are, worked out to the best of your ability, you've peaked your, everything is, you're peaking. It is a little bit like, things we're only, and sometimes people, certain things that go down, it is a little bit of, because like, that's what it is. It's the ultimate, like, if we can figure it out through, it's men, and I don't even like this to the alpha. I don't like that term because I don't, there's variants of, dominance and but like, there is a thing that you get in there and you're like, it's either gonna, we're gonna, again, goes back to the saying, we're either gonna fuck or we're gonna fight, and this is as close as we're gonna get to fucking, but it's fine. But I don't know what I'm talking about. All I'm saying is it's riddled with anxiety, it's riddled with excitement, testosterone, a little bit of estrogen, tits, and it's exciting. So, and it was in a dome, which is again shaped like a booty, a big old booty that happens to light up. The booty of the future. Pixelated booty. Booties in 2030 come to you. Brought to you by Sports Entertainment and some sort of energy drink. Probably Still Monster. Pixelated boobies and tits. And yes. In Islamic architecture, the mosques, they've got like, I don't know what they're called, but the domes on top of they do spherical, they incorporate domes and spheres in they do round. That is also to mimic the female tit. Look into it, it is. So spherical architecture, we might be, yes, I do like to see a little bit of innovation, because honestly, like cities, especially nowadays, we're getting so globalized, everything is becoming, everything's becoming like a box. It's just like, it's easy to put together, make it like a box and fit people, cram each other on top of one another and charge them $1 million too for, 300 square feet. So it's a thing. I do like to see a little bit more spherical, get out of the box shaped buildings. That's nice, but that's a little bit of entertainment. So thank you to all the athletes. Thank you to, shout out to everybody, whoever organizes everything, from Dana to everybody else that's, the reporters, the photographers, the videographers, the tech people that go in there and do the programming that you could, oh man, that sphere is, holy, you could be, it's a really close experience to kind of like tripping on shroomsies without taking shroomsies, I would say. But if you happen to take shroomsies in the sphere, that'll be a trip. That'll definitely be a trip, because it's all pixelated and it's all just like, giant images coming at you. You're one with the images. It's kind of like you're walking in a dream state of mind. It's beautiful. I like it. I hope you guys liked it too. I'm sure, of course. What are we talking about here? Let's get a sip of this. But that's just a little bit of the sphere. I was curious, do the fights get, if you know, leave a comment, do the fights also get posted on the outside of the sphere? Do we see giant, because I don't think I saw that. You don't see they could do that potentially, because you could that'd be pretty cool. See giant humans fight. Maybe that's how we kind of keep the aliens in check. Do they have giant images of our fighters just fucking grappling and just coming for the jugular, but and then they'll think maybe that we're giants, so they won't if they're a little bit aggro, fucking keep them in check. Maybe it's good to kind of make ourselves look a little bit bigger than we actually are. So put the fittest athletes that we got from the UFC, of course they're all fit, but put them on the outside of the sphere, so in case anybody's kind of looking at us, they might get a little bit confused about the size of the humans. Yes, of course, they might be looking at us and thinking we're ants, but also you never know. Yes, we get into the buildings and we fucking, we get 10, 20x that we grow. We're growers, not shores. Let them think that. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, it was a great weekend. I did have a hard time. I had a couple of interactions with peoples on the streets of the city, of the peoples of the city street. It was one of the interactions was, both of them were with elderly men, both age 70. I'll tell you that. One of them, the one that really touched somewhere inside me, was this beautiful gentleman on a wheelchair who approached me while I was taking a little drag, taking a little time to myself to observe the beautiful city that we live in. He approached me, he rolled on with his wheelchair, and he had beautiful hands that were immobile. He couldn't use his hands. He had hands, and his feet didn't work either because he was on a wheelchair. His hands worked, but not much. But I don't even know how he rolled to me, to be honest with you, because his hands were not usable hands. They weren't and because you got the old school wheelchairs, the ones that if you got good hands, you could do that thing with the ones that you've seen the beautiful physically challenged people with no legs, but a tight upper body, and they work the arms. But this guy, legs no bueno, arms also. When I turned around and he was there, arms were kind of, they were stunted. You could see there was no muscle. It was tiny. It was just kind of shriveled, but he wasn't using his, because then if you don't have the ones that you use your hands, you've got the ones that got the little knob and you can move around using the knob, but you still need a working hand. I don't know how he got to me. Maybe it was just using his, maybe he's maybe he's on that Neuralink. I don't know. But he rolled up to me nonetheless, and he said something, and I couldn't quite make out what he's saying because it was low pitched. So I had to kind of go down and lower myself. And he's could you light my joint for me? And I'm oh, you want me to light your joint? Hell, yeah, of course. Where is it? He's yeah, reach into the back of my wheelchair. There's a bag in there. There's a little box. There's a little weed box in there. If you just grab it, light my joint. And he's do you smoke? I said, yes, I do. And he's do you want to? I'm I can't right now. I'm a little occupied right now. But thank you for the offer. Let me light this joint for you, beautiful sir, and we can, you know, just do our thing together. Whatever this beautiful interaction is, let's do it together, homie. I go behind him, grab into, you know, I reach into his bag, his little carry-on, his little satchel. I grab his weed box, I bring it in front of him, showing him the item, because I don't, again, you gotta, I don't know, this doesn't really happen too often. So I bring the box, presented to him, like, is this the box? And he's like, yes. I open it in front of him, had a whole bunch of beautiful joints rolled in there, which again, this is afterthought that I had to think. I'm like, how did he roll his joints? Because he had, you know, he kind of had like, this was, you know, I'm not maybe like, maybe that's not it all the time. Maybe like maybe the hands work for you. You could still roll it. Maybe he has a roller. Maybe he's got like, maybe he's got his own roller. I don't know if he's got like, I don't know, maybe because people do have their own rollers. You hear people doing well in life, they don't roll their spliffs no more. They don't roll their joints no more. I got a roller. You know, I got to pay this guy $200,000 a year. He's my roller. They'll say that. And it's beautiful. So maybe this guy had a roll, but then again, if he had a roller, you'd think he'd have somebody to come along with him to light his joint for us. I don't think so, but he could, one day he could have a roller. He could have it. He could have the best roller, you know, but he said, yeah. So I present the box, I take out the joint. I'm like, is this the way? He's like, yeah, that's the one. And I'm like, and for a second I was, you know, I had my own cigarette as well. So I'm looking at his box, I'm looking at his joint. I've got my cigarette. For a second, I was gonna be like, here, take the box for a second while I, you know, light yours. But then I realized the hands are no. I'm like, you know what? Never mind. And that's when you insert the cigarette in your mouth and start breathing and like working. And that's when you really feel like a man. When you're working and you got a cigarette just hanging off the side of your face. No hand smoking. So I'm no hand smoking, placing the box back in the satchel. I go ahead and light it. Then I'm like, oh man, I'm like, his hands are, you know, kind of like they're good hands. They're decent. They're good hands. They're good hands. They're solid hands, but like not really mobile. So I'm like, okay, how's this gonna work? Do I hold it for him? Do I put it in his mouth so he sucks on it and blows it out? And then that's when thank God, because I think he's been through this enough times. He's got he's like, no, just leave it in my mouth. I'll take a couple of hits, and if you can put it back out and put it back in the box, put it back in the satchel bag, that'd be great. I'm like, okay, great, let's do that. So I light it up, I put it in his mouth. I continue now, I take my little smoke, and he's smoking. But it's one of the, because that's the thing too, when you take a drag, if you are using your hands like people normally do, you take a hit, you know, take some time, you blow it out. After you're ready, then you'll take another hit, or however many hits you like. But this, you know, he had it in his mouth, so he starts coughing now. I'm like, oh, okay, like, is this a good cough? So I don't know, this man's like, you know, I don't know his overall like level of health, like, is this? But then then he's like, yes, that's the spot, that's good sativa. He said that. I'm like, okay, good, that's a good cough. Then I shouldn't be worried, because I didn't know. Do I break out in CPR mid toke, or do I give him the old Heimlich how do I even do a Heimlich while he's sitting on a wheelchair? It's tough. Do I get in front of him like crotch to face Heimlich? Is that like, do I gotta come up with my own, you know, handicap Heimlich? They could name it after me. Or somebody else, so that we can figure out, we can find out his name later down the line if you like. We can name it after him. It doesn't have to, I don't care. Who gets the, you know, I don't, you know, what else. But it was a thing. So he coughed, and then at the same time, because he had the joint in his mouth, he coughed, and a little like spit particle came out with, you know, I don't know what he had earlier, but a little bit of food particle like flew out on his body, on his person. And it just occurred to me, I've reached that age where I'm no longer interested. I realized that. I'm like, that's a beautiful offer, of course. And yes, the passing of the old peace pipe, whatever form it may be, and it's always a nice gesture. But I'm you know, I'm done with, you know, I'm old enough to, I don't want to share joints with anybody, really. That's, unless you're a hot chick, I don't want to. You should have your own joint. Everybody should have their own joint. I don't want to, you know, unless it's like like strangers, you know what I mean? I'm not, because when you're younger, I've definitely been in a situation where somebody's like, you know, I'm finished with this, do you want it? Yes, stranger, thank you. Especially these days, you don't know what's, you know, but that's the thing, as I did this entire dance with this beautiful fella, and as he danced with me, there was a little thing. He's like, yes, my birthday's coming up. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, dude, how old are you turning? He's like 70 and 23rd of September. So I'm like, oh, you know, it's upcoming, 70th birthday, that's beautiful. Good on you, happy birthday, wish them well. And he's like, yes, thank you for lighting the joint. He said something that touched inside me. He's like, it's hard to trust these days. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's reading my heart, reading my diaries, my journals, my comedy journals / diaries / journals. But then I'm like, no, sir, it's not though. Didn't we just practice a little bit of like, what did we do? We just practiced trust here between the two of us. You trusted a total stranger to light your joint and put it in your mouth, and I trusted a total stranger to just be, chill and non, shanky. You know what I mean? Just good vibes all around, and we parted ways, and that was beautiful. So I'm like, yes. Here was humanity. And again, I've only, this man's turning 70 in a few days. I've not lived a long enough life to be like, back in my day, people could, I can't. Maybe back in, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 years ago, like trust was abundant. I don't know. I like to think that it's, yes, everything is practice. Practice makes perfect or near perfect. And what even is perfection? Let us at least strive for that. Something along the lines of doing good, or whatever. So you try your best. Everybody tries their best. And that's the lesson that was kind of like, to both of us, myself and that beautiful, that yes, no matter what your skin color is, no matter if you got beautiful functioning legs or not, or no matter, what your background is, how tall or short you are, if you've got little nubs for arms, it doesn't matter. Trust is everywhere, and we got to just grab it or like cultivate it. It takes work. But yes, as soon as he did spit, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to, and I think, that's the thing to people that you don't know what kind of cough that is. He's coughing. I assume it was from the good sativa, but then again, I'm like, I'm at a time in my life where I got to like concentrate, do work, concentrate, reel it. I don't have time to, whatever your ecosystem is, because you're used to it. Those are your microbes. They're fantastic. And I'll catch some on a regular, but I don't want that direct. Again, I'm beyond that age now. When again, early 20s, again, stranger, want a joint? Yes, please. I don't care. But now I'm like, yeah, have your own. It's all right. And I love the gesture. The gesture is beautiful. Again, that being said, if it is a hot female, hot chicks, big tits, let's go. I don't care if I don't care if you're coughing. I don't care if you are throwing up on the joint. I don't care if you are smoking it through your bleeding vag because it's that time of the month. I don't care. I'm cool. But anybody else, not interested. Thank you for the gesture, Joe. It is nice. So that was a little bit of trust building activities. It's a replacement for the old, fall back and I'll catch you. This one's 2025 version, different teammates, of course. And it worked out. It was beautiful. We came together and we did it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a lot of things are going on in and around the world. Of course, many topics are on everybody's minds. One of them happens to be, yes, I do hear a lot of this as well, like many of you guys out there, and I had to think about it to see what I wanna, how do I feel about it? What do I think about it? Because it is a thing, it is happening in and around the world. Immigration is a big issue that people are talking about. Borders are a big issue, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the Americas, Canada's, all around the world. We're concentrating on many things simultaneously as we're growing together. And immigration and borders and populations. These are all topics that are interconnected and are being discussed. And I thought to myself, what does, places like Canada, places like the United States, places maybe like Australia, where a large population of the populace is mainly immigrant, at least, if not directly from their ancestry, unless you happen to be Aboriginal, or, if you were like here in Canada, if you were Aboriginal, the natives, in America, then that's what you were, but everybody else literally immigrated to the earth. If you were like Mexican, if you want to go down, if you're from South America, if you were like indigenous to South America, then you're that, but that America is different than the North America. You know what I'm talking about. It's just like everybody in certain regions of the world are immigrants, or at least, again, if not themselves, at least by ancestry. It's a thing. But then there is an issue, because yes, when you do have unprotected borders, people of all kinds get in. Well, you got a whole bunch of good people. You get a whole bunch of people who have just had a tough time. They're for whatever reason they're feeling that they're no longer safe and sound in their place of residents, so they got to get up and immigrate. They got to migrate. They got to travel. And yeah, sometimes you'll get, doctors, lawyers, proper laborers, proper, craftsmen, chefs, all sorts of people, tech people, all sorts of people. It could be anybody. But sometimes amongst those, you might get some gang members as well. And the issue that I had with the whole, I don't even have an issue with it, but it's just, it is a little bit of just, I like to bring it in together. So, because it does feel like it's, it's at a time where I don't even know how to let's just see, what I'm trying to say is that if you are having a difficult time sometimes, not all the times, because again, most immigrants are good people. They get in it, but also, all immigrants are savages. If you think about it, really, if you think about it, all immigrants are good people. All immigrants are also savages, savage immigrants. That's what they are. They're dirty, savage immigrants, if you think about it. You really think about it. Initially, everybody was too. Everybody, all immigrants. There was the good in them, but you had the savage as well. You had the savage, you had the, but it's not like you can't locate it to a certain region and be like, the immigrants from this region are all savages, or the immigrants from these regions are all good. Because even you look back at it, if we had, some of us, it's, again, depending on your ancestry, depending on your, recent ancestry, of course, at the end of the day, we're all connected. We're all kind of, if you go hundreds of thousands of years, we're all just, globally traveling, intermingling with one another. But the point that I'm trying to say is that even the difficulty of the immigrants' journey today is that everything is, again, it's recorded. But, if you had 200-300 years ago when people were just immigrating from Europe to North America, that was, you got lucky, ancestrally you got lucky, because you didn't get that, you didn't get your great grandfather coming in and sneezing all over the natives and wiping them out with a cold or a flu, or and then loading up muskets, because that would have. So yes, at the end of the day, some news comes out, whether or not, and I feel bad. A little part of me, a little bit of it, you hear about a population, Haitians are eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Some, and there's, I don't know what to think of it. Some people say that's part of the culture. They might have voodoo practice. Some say it might not be, it might be a little bit due to hardship of economical times and circumstances, different types of, and we all humans eat everything under the sun. So really, that portion, of course, there's the cultural differences. Sometimes it is a little bit of okay, if you come in now, let's not, but at the same rate, I'm glad that they're just, if they are eating a couple of dogs, and if they are, I don't even know if they are, but if they are, I'm glad they're not coming over to do what, because it's easy to sit back as you're enjoying the fruits of your great grandparents' labor of just having, a few generations of, all right, now we're just good, civilized, good behaving people, and now that we're all here nice and comfortable and it's nice to be, so in the beginning, we could say that, in the beginning, immigrants are savages. Some of them are, at least we could say that. But then again, we are all savages to some degree. We're all a little bit, so, it's a little bit of just, the thing for me is that I think that is a weak argument for pinpointing issues that we're having in our societies. Globally speaking, housing is an issue. Globally speaking, you can't just have open borders willy-nilly. You do need to kind of sort of, or I don't know. Globally, there is an issue about jobs, again, because of the population of the people, because of technology, because of inflation and money not having its value as it used to, and many other reasons that I'm not even aware of. I don't know anything about anything, but all I'm saying is it makes it seem as if that is, you say, oh, we can't, for example, here in Canada, we can't have, now we got to cap the foreign students, or, we got to or whatever, put a number on it, and because then we're not going to have enough housing. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm Canada, we're a country of, again, outside of the indigenous population, everybody is a either direct immigrant or a, byproduct of an immigrant. And we're a country of 40 million, we're 38, 40 million people. If we, it's hard to think that a few students, thousands, hundreds of thousands or even immigrants are the reason why you can't have housing. It just seems like a lame excuse for the government's failure to adequately go in there and provide a functioning economy. And I don't know how you do all these things, but I'm just saying that don't make a scapegoats out of people, essentially, whether they are. That's the only thing that I had with it. So yeah, housing, let's figure it out. I don't know how we can fix it, but like we got 3D printing. And again, surprisingly, it's one of those things that, again, everything with technology happens to get cheaper. Housing happens to be one of those commodities that it's just like, oh, well, if you want to invest in housing. It's the only thing. And it's always been, it's been sold to us as this investment where it was supposed to be just, a place of residence where you can go and have safety, security, a little bit of privacy, provide space for your family to grow and flourish, all these things. But all of a sudden, and it's good. We do got to, I'm all about it, capitalism, all you capitalism with the capitalist C and the But then we also, as we talk and engage, we get into notions like ethical capitalism, which I don't know what that means, but I don't even know what I'm talking about. All I'm saying is let's not, because places like Canada, places like the United States, we have places all around the world. We really do have a ton of space and resources for billions of other people. It's just a matter of distribution, how it's, and I'm not talking about anything like, everybody should be equal, none of that stuff. But all I'm saying is we have plenty for, in my mind, I think, Canada could easily support 3 billion people. I'd say the United States could also easily support 3 billion people. Same with, again, South America, China, they're already working with these are the numbers that I'm still comfortable, like 3 billion in America would easily be sustainable, easily. But again, I don't know anything. I do random maths in my head, and I don't know if that adds up quite as much as I like to think it does. But all I'm saying, if not 3 billion, I think a lot more people could be living good. And not to say necessarily people need to get up and immigrate to places like Canada, Australia, United States, or even Europe. That is to say that we should get together instead of pinpointing and trying to, point fingers and be like, because we all borrow great things from one another's cultures, heritages. We bring it together, we mix it, we learn from each other. So it's not to say that we only want, I think at the end of the day, I should get a sip of this coffee and skirt. Takeaway from that is that yes, all immigrants are savages. Some immigrants are savages. It's good that we didn't have cameras 200-300 years ago, because again, the images, wow. You'd be wishing they would just eat some cats and dogs. But that's just, that's just a little bit of my thoughts and my 2 cents on the matter. And let us once more get a sip of this bad boy. What else is going on in and around the world? I'll say this, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've all have experienced the fascinating and titillating experience of pissing in the shower. Of course, as you're showering on your daily, getting ready routine, you go into some of you. If you're legit, you do it. If you're human, you do it. If you're an alien, you're not pissing in the shower, trying to pass as a human. Still, I welcome everybody, but it is odd. If you're not pissing in the shower, it's a little bit odd. But then I said to myself, I'm like, okay, well, if we enjoy the pissing in the shower, which makes sense, you're cleaning, you're rinsing, release let the extra fluids get out of it. But then I said to myself, why don't we push it a little bit further? Why aren't we shitting in the shower? And that's when I had to look inside myself and outside myself too. I had to look inside myself, and I did. I put my head in my ass, and I looked and said there was nothing in there. There was literally nothing in there. But then I brought my head out of my asshole, had to look outside, and it was right in front of me, which begged the question, did you have to shove your head up your ass? No, not at all. But no stone will go unturned. No step will be, all steps will be taken. No corners will be left unturned. No, so it was right in front. I'm like, the drainage is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. The drainage is not big enough. The drainage is not big, which is why I invented the large enough drainage for you to be able to shit in the shower nowadays, you're welcome. If you're ready to do this, let us move into the future, because I believe, what time is it? It's now. We're right here. What time is it? It's the future, it's the now, is what I'm trying to say. Now, with these extra large drainage systems, you can now shit in the shower while also pissing and showering. So no longer will you have to just simply opt for like, oh, and everybody's on the run these days. Everybody's doing so many things, multitasking. If I could cut down 5 minutes of you having to sit down and take a shit, and instead have you standing in the shower and just shit standing up, like the future of the species, that, you know, what we truly deserve. If we can do that together, I say we do it now, and I say we hold hands and say it loud and say it proud, brothers and sisters. We can now get together in the showers and shit standing up. You're welcome. You're welcome. Of course, this will take some time to take off, and we've done some test markets in Southeast Asia, parts of Europe it's looking good, but I believe this will really take off once we get a little bit of sponsorship in terms of the American and the Canadian and the just South American viewers and supporters. If they can get behind this movement, they say this will, of course, does big toilet paper and big bidet kind of have a thing out for me right now? Because they're like, whoa, what's this guy talking about? Revolutionizing shitting. Yeah, dog. Yeah. I'm just going to sit on my tush and not think about things to improve. Ha! There's still plenty of room for TP and bidets, but I say, hey, people want choices, people want options, more than 2, maybe sometimes 3, and even more. But let's get that drainage in your pipe, or the pipe with the drainage in your tub. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a moment and get really into it. Get into it. Can we get into it? Can we take a second? And because I think we were about, and yes, we're getting into it now as we speak, as we together doing this, you and I. Another second attempt assassination just went down, which is breaking news. Breaking news. Skirt. Second assassination attempt on President Trump's life just went down recently in the past 48 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Which is, it is now, this is, how do I feel about it? I'm definitely glad the president is not harmed. It's just too many things that I don't even feel like it's hard to pinpoint answers and come up with what actually happened. But then I also heard that just because you can't figure out exactly what is going on, that doesn't mean that should deter you from asking questions and wanting to know, because ideally they want you to be overwhelmed with information and not any clear answers, so that you're like, I'm just gonna detach and not be in it to win it. But nothing can detach us, fam, because we're what? We're in it to win it. That's what it is. So despite the fact that, again, I'm confused, but that doesn't really change my state of existence. I've always been confused about many of things. The point is that I'm just glad nobody got hurt. And wagwan to the security services, secret services, the secret services, for pouncing on the culprit like a tiger, right there. So it's good. It's good that we caught him. It's good that he's apprehended. If you need a specialist, the Assassin Whisperer is also here at your service. What are my methods of dealing with would-be assassins? Normally, I don't like to disclose my methods, but I feel like disclosing. Let's disclose together. I will say this, the fact that he was out there in the middle of the woods area near the golf course, if I'm not mistaken, in Florida, it tells me that this fellow was comfortable being in the woods for at least 12 hours. What I'd like to just put out there is, bitch, if you think you're gonna be comfortable in the woods for up to 12 hours, the Assassin Whisperer right here is comfortable in the woods for unlimited hours, unlimited text, unlimited phone calls, spent time in the woods. This guy, I would I would set up a little napping area, just nap, snooze for 36 hours in the woods. The assassin whisper. Once I, oh, you wanna reach for the scope? You look through the scope, what do you see? My eyeball looking right through the scope, right back, because I'm on top of that shit. If you want the services, of course. You know, do I use handcuffs or you know, zip ties? I like to keep them on their toes depending on their stature. You know, if they're like big, bulky, juicy, if they've been juicy, if they got no neck, I go with the cuffs. I go with metal because I am metal, you're metal. If they're a little dainty, if they're like, you know, if they're a little bit, if they're vegan, I'm not gonna waste my metal. I'll go zip tie all day, every day. If they're vegan, if they look like they, you know, go on cycling trips around the city or neighborhood, but they look like the type that wears like cyclist outfits, like bodysuit, but they're not actual cyclists. If they give off that vibe, I'm going zip tie. Then what I like to do is I like to bring him in is what I like to do. Then that's when I get rough. That's when I get rough. And that's when things start disconnecting in terms, I'm talking cameras. And I sit him down in my interrogation room and I tell him, hey, there, go ahead and have a seat on this chair. And guess what? The chair is not a regular chair. It's a chair that I had made in some Scandinavian company in Scandinavia, maybe Sweden, maybe Finland. And it's slightly angled inwards. So it's extremely uncomfortable. Not in the beginning, like maybe 10, 20 degrees, just instead of leaning back, it's leaning forward. So it's forcing them to kind of sit awkwardly. And guess what? 10-20% of having to sit awkwardly will go a long way in terms of me getting my answers. So I'll have them sit there and I won't even go in the interrogation room for at least a good hour and a half. Depending on, I do gotta get lunch. So it depends what time I bring them in. It really depends. Like if they come in right before lunch, then I gotta get in there. But if it's like, you know, if it's early in the morning, then I'll just let them sit till like lunchtime at least. I'll have lunch and then go in. I'll have onions. I will get garlic. I'll eat all the garlic. I'll get just garlic and onions and I'll top it off with more garlic and then I'll get in there. I'll be like, hey there. Hopefully his name starts with the letter H, or maybe his name's Henry. How are ya? I'll get in there. And I'll just, he'll be like, can I get a Coke? I'll be like, yeah, sure, you can get a Coke. I'll be like, hey, somebody bring him in a Coke. They'll bring in a Coke. I'll get the can open. You want this? I'll drink all of it right in front of you. You're not getting a Coke from this guy until I get some answers. All right? That's the type of services that I'm willing to bring. And this is, again, think of it as the boyfriend experience, but, you know, for, you know, assassin whisper. Like, think of it as like what, you know, beautiful prostitute, what they might offer you in an evening for a couple of bills, that, but for assassins. And like, you know, so it's a thing. If you need it, if you want it, right there, got it. Yeah. Also, it is interesting to think about these things because I, you know, like all of us, we've seen these assassination attempts. It's obviously, there's no place for it. I'm not shocked or surprised as to it is a little bit just like I am a little bit like wow I'm a little bit taken back. Just it is amazing to see like legacy media just like the way they twist and turn, because if it was, again, I'm glad nobody got hurt. I've definitely, you know, it's but yeah, it's interesting to see how they twist and turn, and it's like, oh, the rhetoric from Trump is like the man's being shot at. I don't think it's his rhetoric that's the issue. It's classic victim blaming, man. I'll say that right there. It's classic. Oh, well, if she didn't want to get raped, she should have, you know, dressed a little bit more modest. That type of mentality. It's that same type of mentality. So victim blaming will only get you so far. I'll also say that, yeah, it would have been like if, God forbid, if the bullets were, you know, and thank God it's Trump, because he's legit, just, you know, pure gangster, doing it, the way America needs to do it. All right. And the way that, you know, if the bullets were aimed from the other side to the other side, like if it was Biden or Kamala Harris and the reverse situation, I think, you know what I mean? So I'm just a little bit taken back by the, you know, the still gaslighting of, again, legacy media. But it's, hey, at least we know what's up. And yeah, I'm definitely glad that there are independent modes of operate. I look to different sources of, you know, hearing about stuff, just like many of you guys out there. And yeah, I'm definitely happy that we're not just solely dependent on just old school traditional methods of getting information. I'm definitely glad about that. But yeah, it is amazing because if it was Kamala Harris or Biden that got shot at, it would have been, they wouldn't have stopped. They would, first of all, the first shooter we don't know anything about. That story is already wiped out of our collective consciousness. Nobody even talks about that. Nobody asks any question. Nobody even, the parents, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, and this guy is, again, I don't think at the end of it, you know, he had some run-ins with the law. It's just going to get washed into the many stories that come and go as just a loon and as a, yes, but yes, do I think he was a loon? Of course, for somebody to grab a gun and go do something heinous like that, to a large degree, definitely a loon. But it is, I like a little bit, you know, I think every story, especially major stories, I think there's a lot more that goes on that we just don't ever get answers to. And I just like a little bit more clarity, a little bit more, you know, a little bit more transparency, if you will, a little bit of more just being honest with what you're dealing. A little bit of objectivity would be nice from so-called news media outlets, if they're, you know, so I don't even know if we should call them news anymore. I think we just call them, you know, advertisements for certain, you know, corporations and or political parties. That's what they should be called. They should just be called advertisements. They shouldn't be called, you should be like, okay, I'm going to such and such, but I'm going to get advertising for so-and-so. That's what it should be called. But these are just my opinions, thoughts. Leave a comment if you like, to get a, you know, lifetime supply of midgets under the table giving you services, if you know what I mean. Just like, because we will do that. I will do that for you. I've actually done that, and not because I wanted to, but because the internet asked. They're like, should midgets be under table servicing people? The internet asked that, and I'm like, whoa, internet, you're wild, man. And I like wild. And I said to myself, it is a curious little question, isn't it? Because yeah, midgets do tend to seem like they would fit perfectly fine under the table without being bothered. And doesn't everybody like a service? Good services, you know what I'm talking about? A little bit of under the table, a little bit of, just a little bit of right there, a little bit of this, a little bit of just, I'm just saying, it makes perfect sense. So yeah, it's great that the internet put that out there. Now, do I think that they should be forced to be on their tables giving a service? Of course not. But do I think that it should be more socially acceptable for midgets to be under tables servicing people? Yes, I do think that it should be, I think at least it should be, I think the space should be available, and there's plenty of space. Now, just because, you're like, what if they're not into it, they're not into it, but I'm sure there are some that would, you know, gladly get under a table for a couple of bills, service you, and it's under the table, and you know what they say about things that happen under the table? It stays under the table, fam. Because that used to be for Vegas, but that's before like surveillance and like cameras everywhere, so that's no longer the deal. The deal is now, and if it happens under the table, stays under the table, which is everybody's favorite next destination and vacation spot. Let's go under the table. They'll say that because of cameras. It does make sense. I didn't put this out there, man. You guys put it out there. I don't know. Did they look at midgets and build tables when they saw that they're like, man, these guys could down in the future, these guys and gals could be under the table? Did they look at tables? Because tables could have been definitely made to like be lower or higher. We don't have like, you don't sit down on the table as like up to your neck. You might in some odd country, which I'm not aware of, or you might have really like low to the ground tables. Again, I'm sure there's some countries and around the world that do that. They got really, you gotta like fucking, you gotta lie on your back to get on this table. You gotta like face the ceiling to be able to use this table that's making it really difficult to eat off of. But nonetheless, the table is a table, and the ones that we've got for the majority of the world are adequately high enough for midgets to be under them and just going in you elbow deep, just milking you under the table when you're, having dinner with your loved ones or business partners or acquaintances. Or if you're solo dining, how to enhance the solo dining experience. I believe restaurants are actually doing a little bit of market research to find that out. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to enhance the solo dining experience, a couple of hands go a long way, especially if they're smaller hands. Especially if I know they're smaller hands. Everybody wins. You're welcome. You're welcome. A lot of people are also asking themselves that is the bear a comedy? I've heard this. Is the bear a comedy? Let us break it down, because I don't know. Let's break it down if the bear is a comedy. First of all, what is let's break it down. Let's unpack this together. What is the bear? If I could just present this to the public, leave a comment what you think the bear is. First of all, the bear. The bear. Are we indicating that there is only one bear? The bear? Is this like the main bear? The main, final boss bear? Is this who? That's what I'd like to know. Who's this the bear? Is it a grizzly bear? Is it a polar bear? Is it one of those fucking half and half panda bears that likes to dip its toe in both markets and Dems? Getting in there with the demographic and like, I got my hands in everything. I'm like, oh, pick a lane, panda. Is it a brown bear? You know what I mean? You know what they say about brown bears? Once you go brown, you don't frown. They say that about brown bears. So what kind of bear is it? Is it a baby bear? Is it a cute little baby bear with like superpowers? Oh, it's baby bear, it's cub. This cub's got superpowers. Is it a comedy? Is it a comedy? And that's when I ask myself, I'm like, is this a circus bear? Does this bear go and travel in like a gypsy caravan in and around Europe, flies to the North American continent and travels all the way down South America, goes over to Asia, Middle East, Africa? Does it is it touch and base in all the major global cities in and around the world? Is it a comedy act, and is it like a juggling bear? Does it do a funny face when it juggles? Why is the bear the comedy? Is the bear a comedy? Is it a comedic bear? Does the bear write its own materials? You know what I mean? Or does the bear have a lot of writers and help? Which I don't care for in terms of like, however you do it, however you get it in this life, I am happy for you. Whatever it is that you want to get. I'm not one of these guys, oh, this and that. I support everyone and everything, literally. So I don't care if it's got a whole team, but I'm curious to know if it is, if it's coming up, standing there, doing it. Is it doing an act? Is it telling jokes? Is it funny, like haha funny? Does it make you laugh? What kind of bear is it? Is this a bear that speaks human language? Is it an English speaking bear? Is it a panda bear born in China that speaks English? Whoa. These are just some people are asking, and I still have not seen this, the bear. They're like, is it a comedy? I would, bears, we like to attribute human features to them and kind of like, Yogi Bear, Teddy Bear, Winnie the Pooh Bear. We like to, put them in cute outfits and, the friendly park ranger bear. the bear that's on your, the bear that's on the selling you Coke bear, the Coca-Cola bear, the toilet paper bear, or the bear is so I would say, the bear, I would say, is multifaceted. I don't want to just put the bear in a box. I would assume, not having seen the bear, that I bet the bear it might be funny, it might have comedic elements too. I wouldn't necessarily put the bear in a comedy category. I think there's a lot more that goes in, but then again, it's all subjective. Everybody's got their own opinion, but I would say, because of it's got a wide span, and it does touch many aspects of our lives: beverages, water, cleaning your tush, selling you lube, whatever maybe it's got. So I would say it's more of a drama. It's more depicting daily life, which is what, if life is not but a drama, it is a soap opera filled with riddles and mysteries. It's so I'll say this: I don't think personally that the bear is a comedy, and again, I don't think it's just one bear, because I bet there are plenty of other bears out there. I bet there are plenty of other. For some reason, we've selected this one bear, and I still have not yet figured out which bear it is. Leave a comment. Have I had my head in the sand the whole time? There's this fucking mesmerizing bear that's captivating the world globally, making rounds, making everybody laugh. Should I just, go check out this bear? And maybe I will. Because you know what? I hear it's good, and I believe it's good too. And maybe I will check it out. But I also only have a limited amount of time in my day. As much as I support everybody in my own special way, there's only so many, but maybe I will. I'll get to it, maybe. Maybe the bear is fucking making relationships with humans. Maybe it's driving, maybe it married a human woman or male. I don't know what their orientation is, and I'm not judging. I don't even know the sex of the bear, to be honest with you. I don't know what it's capable of. Maybe it impregnated a woman. Maybe there's a half baby, half human, half bear baby. Maybe this bear's got a family and everybody's like into it. I don't know. Is it a comedy though? I'll leave that up to the viewer. If it's a comedy, leave a comment if you think it's a comedy. If you think it's just, life, depicting life situations, maybe the bear's got like a thing. Maybe the bear's into eating. Maybe the bear likes eating. Maybe the bear's got a dream. Maybe the bear wants to make food and give food to people because it enjoys food. But maybe that's too far-fetched. Maybe that's too crazy. Maybe it's got nothing to do with food, because why would it be called the bear then? Because then it would be called look at food and what it means to be in a food providing facility, aka a restaurant. But that one's too far-fetched. It must be about a bear. Could have been about a bear that was once in a circus, but then kind of like freed itself, like one of those animals that you hear always, every once in a while they'll escape. And I'll be like, oh, silly little animal got out of its cage. Let's put it back in the cage. All it wants to do is leave. But, as long as the kids are happy. I'll say this, ladies and gentlemen, that it was, also, I believe it was the Emmys was on the weekend. And it's great to give awards. It's great to get awards. I myself wasn't able to, again, I'm busy. I wasn't able to attend. I wasn't able to watch. I watched a little glimpses of videos of people accepting, and I was away too. I myself was not only getting an award, I also gave an award. The bananas. Oh, if you've not heard of the bananas, I was presenting for the bananas and then I got the bananas as well. I received and a lot of people are like, oh man, how do we go about accepting awards or giving awards, or just all in all, and I for the bananas, it's what was I nominated for? It's a great question. The best. I was nominated for the best. just overall everything. Best. And I want, of course, I accepted my speech, and just because some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not, but just in case if anybody missed it, I will go ahead and accept once again the award, the bananas, for the best. I'll say this: it's I like to thank my cast members, Stephanie, Larry, Mikey Boy, Stephanie, Larry, Mikey Boy. We wouldn't have been able to do it without you. You're my world. You're my dreams. You're my dream world. Stephanie, the way you held my hair as I threw up into the toilet bowl that like last Wednesday, that was fucking incredible. You're my life. You're the light of my life. I like to thank my cast, my crew members. If it wasn't for you, it'd be for some other cast crew members. So like but you guys are special. But I get the reward. So this isn't about you. So quit making it about you, cast members, especially. But like thanks anyway, I guess. I like to thank the Banana Academy. I like to thank the Academy for letting me be a part of the family, for being like really resistant in the beginning, but then like afterwards, because of my persistence, they were like, man, this guy's not going anywhere. So they unwillingly, but some say willingly, they let me be a part of the Academy, which was nice. So I'd like to thank the Academy, and I'd like to say that the bananas are, it means a lot to me. It's shaped like a banana, which is a phallic shaped fruit, which makes it nice for both sexes to enjoy, because you could, everybody's got holes. That's one of those, not too many things are universal truths, but that one is, everyone's got holes. So I like to thank my parents, of course. I like to thank my sperm that's in my nutsack that I'm withholding right now for going and putting it in someone to make a child, but they are my children. The whole billion of them, millions at least at a time, but it adds up. I do get rid of them on a daily basis, but they're in the billions, I believe, trillions, if really we're talking lifetime. I can't even count anymore, to be honest, but I like to thank my fruit, essentially. I also like to take the time to say thank you to because we did for the shooting, sometimes we had to, even in pre-production, we travel to, they call it when you're on location, as the term goes. When you're on location in many places, we did traveling, and I went to many of, distant, parts of the world, got to know many beautiful cultures and people, got the chance to sit down with some indigenous tribes tribes and cultures in some remote areas of the world. Of course, we sat, we listened, they talked. Nobody really understood each other because of the lack of, because we speak English, they were speaking in their native tongue, but it was nice. I had some food. I got sick. I threw up for about 72 hours. It could have either been that or the shamanic ayahuasca experience. Either or, really, I am a better person for it. Initially, when I was flying in, I did have a little bit of it felt like I've got this like stomach thing. I felt like some, but then again, you power through it. You power through because the show must go on, and that's really the epitome of the bananas. And I think really that's what it really means to me. And yeah, so I had the stomach bug flu thing, and I met the chief. I met the chief of the tribe. Did I sneeze in the palm of his hand and face? Of course. Ultimately, the entire village got wiped out because they weren't like prepared for my microbiome. But that's, hey, you got to make a couple of, omelets are not the easiest dish to serve for breakfast, but they are one of the most nutritional ones, I'll say that. So if you want to make some omelets, take the time. And yes, did the entire village get wiped out because I sneezed on them and they weren't ready for it? Yes, absolutely. But I'm glad that it brought me here so that I could accept this award in front of my peers and family members, all the support from everybody. And yeah, if it means that 500 men, women, children, elderly, everybody, if they got wiped out, anything because it's the work that speaks for itself, really. And if I got to do it again, and which we will in the coming seasons, that we'll keep on producing more and putting more out there. If I need to go out to remote areas of the world, and should I sneeze on people and they're not ready for it because of their weak, immune system, and they happen to drop like flies, but then if I get to come back and share that collective story and what I've learned with everybody, that is a yes, I'll do it. But thank you. This means a lot to me. But it means a lot to me to get even more of them, more of the bananas. I'd like to have. I'm not trying to make a necklace out of it. It's a whole thing that I got. It's got nothing to do with the actual award itself. It's more of like, hey, what are we doing together? You know what I mean? So that was just a little bit of my weekend. That's just a little bit of what I did. I'm of course celebrating everybody's contribution to our planetary existence that is life. Until next time, yippee-ki-yay.